Oh, okay, and I think people are just going to start coming on a little later. I can see more people being added. Before we start with the presentation today, I did want to share that one of the DSO members passed away, uh, not last week, the week before, Dwight King, who joined us
Oh,
about
no.
3 years ago. So
Oh,
I'm
no.
on an iPad, so I can't share, but I'm sure many of you
Oh,
remember
yeah.
Dwight and his love for dahlias. Dwight used to be the president of the Victoria, Australia Dahlia Society for 16 years before he and his wife, Alice, moved to Lakeside, which is right by Sandusky. And my first memory of Dwight is he came to our happy hour that was down in Independence, and it was a bar and it was very loud. But he and Alice just came and hung out and started talking and sharing their love of dahlias. Um, so Dwight's son called me um, shortly after he passed and asked me if I would come get his tubers. So Nick actually drove out, picked his tubers up, and the one request the family had was that we give those tubers a good home with people who also love dahlias. So, for anyone who is going to the plant sale on Sunday, the tubers that I have will be free for you to take if you would like to plant them in your garden and honor Dwight's memory. So, I would love to share those with you. And if you can't make the plant sale, but you're still interested in a tuber, let me know and I will save one for you. And we'll figure out a way that I can get that tuber for you to plant. So just wanted to pass along that news to you. All right. I was kind of also waiting to see if Ron Miner was able to hop on.
Just not to interrupt you, but I did have trouble getting on the Zoom. It took me a while. So I don't know if that's a reason why maybe some people are getting on late.
Yeah, Bob said it took him a little while
Okay.
as well. So let me find Ron's email. All right. So, Janelle, I might embarrass you just a smidge here because Ron sent me an email. Um, he wasn't sure he can make it, but he wanted me to share some information about you. Um, so, as mentioned in the email, Janelle's joining us today. She runs the pollinator patch. Is it a farm? Do you call it a farm?
We can call it a farm. It's
Okay.
a hobby farm. Let's call it that.
Yeah. Okay. And I followed her on Instagram for a long time. Uh, and while I knew you were focusing on having a clean, virus free garden, I didn't know that you were working with Ron and the American Dahlia Society um, to kind of help them. And so Ron wanted me to read this. And he said, please tell the society that Janelle was the key source of clean stock that allowed me to show that I could keep my small garden clean over the whole season. And that stock coming from that garden will be an important part of my effort to show that we can keep a big garden clean this summer. We, the ADS, owe her a big thank you for her efforts. So, Janelle, know that Ron is thinking of you and his travels, and he really wants you to know how much not just the DSO appreciates you, but the American Dahlia Society appreciates you as well. So, thank you.
Thanks. All right,
Yeah,
so I'll try not to disappoint y'all.
you're fine. I am going to ask that everybody mute themselves. If you need help, I will mute you for you. So, all right, Janelle, if you Go ahead and start.
All right. My husband keeps texting. Okay. All right. As I've already been introduced, but I'm Janell Weiss of the Pollinator Patch, and I've been trying individually to grow a virus-free field. And I'll dive deep into that in the later slides. I did make some, I need to make you all disappear so I can see my whole, sorry. How do I make all of you slide away? Oh, here we go, minimize you. Okay, oop, sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
I
There we go.
can't see your slideshow yet. I see a screen that says loading.
Okay, it says my screen sharing is paused. Maybe I'll stop and try again.
Yeah, that should work.
Mhm.
There you go.
All right. Ooh, okay. All right, very good. I wanted to show you where in Ohio I am. So I'm West Central Ohio. I'm technically a DSO member, but I'm a Cincy. Cincy's my home club, the Cincinnati Dahlia Society. So I'm in West Central Ohio. It's a very row crop and livestock agricultural area that I'm growing in. So there's not a lot of other dahlias in the neighborhood, which I think has been helpful, at least for some of my pursuits. Like I said before, it is a farm, but it's a hobby farm. It's a side hustle. I work full time. My background is in agricultural and environmental engineering, but now I mostly just do mapping and plat review. I'm a commercial grower. I do sell tubers, but I'm on the small scale. So this year I'm only planting 350 plants, 55 varieties, but most of my efforts are in breeding. So I've got 700 first and second year seedlings. I made several slides that go through like virus background, and I'm sorry, I know you're Ron Miner's club, so we'll go through these quickly and then I'll get to the fun stuff. As we know, most dahlias sold are infected with at least one virus. I think 87% was what ADS reported in their last large-scale testing. Viruses can weaken, stunt, and kill dahlias and spread to other dahlias and other plants. Infected plants can't be cured. Contrary to what's in the Facebook groups, fertilizer, Epsom salts aren't going to cure the virus. And it's not a new problem. Here's an article on the right from September 1964 discussing dahlia mosaic, tomato spotted wilt virus, and cucumber mosaic virus. The article talks about roguing infected plants and pest management. So it's the same conversation we're still having. So I'm gonna persuade you, hopefully, that there are other options that we could be working towards, and that they might be worth it. Okay, symptoms. Some viruses cause symptoms in the leaves. Special patterns like vein clearing on the left, or leaf or oak leaf pattern in the middle. And tomato spotted wilt virus makes those really hypnotic circles. Dahlia viruses of note. Dahlia mosaic virus or common mosaic virus are the most prevalent, often symptomatic, specific to dahlias, and there are several strains collectively referred to as dahlia mosaic virus. Tobacco streak virus is in about half of dahlias commercially sold and tested. For me, most of them don't appear symptomatic. Occasionally I'll see vein clearing, but usually they're just slower to wake up and slower to grow, the ones that are testing TSV positive. Tomato spotted wilt virus, it's not prevalent. I saw a bunch of it in 2022 when a lot of cuttings were shipped infected with the virus. And since 2022, I've only seen it once. Um, it's a really obvious virus to see. I have a bunch of test strips. I just stopped using them because if a plant came to me, I potted it, I pre-sprout it, and it looks bad, I usually won't even test it. It's not worth spending the expense on it. I just toss it. So by the time I've pre-sprouted and culled anything that's symptomatic, there's nothing left in that remaining pool that's testing TS positive for tomato spotted wilt. And patient's necrotic spot virus, this one, Washington State Lab keeps reporting positives, but I haven't found another lab that can replicate those results. I'm not seeing any positives, even on the same plants sent to the other viruses. So it's also a virus I've stopped testing for. And then take that with you. Sorry about that. One of the things that I see often in grower groups is that none of this is worthwhile because all dahlias are infected with a virus. And while there is a chunk of DMV that's been integrated into the dahlia genome, it's not infectious. It doesn't infect the plant or make it sick. It's referred to as D10 or the endogenous pararetrovirus if we want to be sciencey about it. But there is one researcher that has been looking at whether it could be activated and infect the plant, but she hasn't been able to show that. And in my experience, something that, well, every plant that I've had tested with that researcher, she's found D10 in it. But then every other strain of Dahlia mosaic is testing negative and the plant is asymptomatic. Anyways, I think it's misleading when someone says, well, they're all infected, it's not worth it. Well, although there is an endogenous pararetrovirus in the plant, it's not sick. Sorry, deep dive. Okay, modes of transmission, humans by not sanitizing our cutters, and insects, aphids spread DMV, thrips spread TSV and TSWV. Thrips are really hard to see. I've received some cuttings with live thrips on them, and it's not until I see like this silver appear on the leaves where I realize, oh God, I've got a problem. Now I do a much better job of quarantining, but you have to learn the hard way. So why am I undertaking this endeavor? I guess I needed to try, and also failure is a great teacher. So even when I don't have a perfect season, I'm still learning things, and I'll deep dive into that soon, I promise. I've had some really surprising observations of it's really nice to grow clean stock, that it is worth for me the expense and the headache early season to make sure what I'm planting is clean so that it can be a really hands-off growing season. Also by trying this citizen science, I'm hoping that others can see how they can use strategies that I'm employing to continue to grow their favorites, but also bring in clean stock and keep it clean, or grow seedlings and keep those clean. And I will say, like, in the 1960s, that article I showed before, they didn't have the tools that we have now. They didn't have labs cleaning dahlia stock and shipping out virus-free cuttings. They didn't have the testing available that we do now. And so it is a good time to try to grow clean dahlias. For me, I was growing dahlias for a decade and pulling out the ones that were obviously sick, and just pretending that everything was great. That if I could call them, I was containing it. But then in 2022, I was receiving a lot of really sick looking plants. And I started testing, and I was really horrified that, you know, I was horrified that I was receiving so much sick stock. But then when I started testing what I had and what I had been selling, I, I was mortified. It was very humbling. And so I took a year off from selling tubers, and I've been trying to be virus free, or at least DMV and TSV free, for the past 2 seasons. This will be my third. So in 2023, I didn't have any TSV detected in my field when I tested in October. So I started the season with virus index stock. So everything had been tested for DMV and TSV and TSWV, and all of the plants that were planting had tested negative at least once for those viruses. And I came back in the fall, and no TSV was detected. And then the flip happened this past season. I didn't have any DMV detected, but I did have some TSV. Over on the right, you can see that I'm having more success in finding cleaner stock each year. I'm also still spending a lot of money in testing that stock. Eventually, as I go more towards my breeding goals, I expect those costs to decrease. But it hasn't been cheap. Okay, so how am I doing this? How am I planting a field full of clean plants? I grow mother stock in my basement, sometimes year round, but when I receive new stock, it gets tested. If it's clean, it gets to stay. If it's not clean, it gets booted. There's some grower friends who are totally virus tolerant, and they're happy to take what I don't want to grow anymore. And it's worked out really well for them and me. We're all happy. Um, and and I will grow those plants in my basement for at least 9 to 12 months and test them again, and to see if they're still clean. Um, and if they are, then those cuttings from those plants, those pot tubers at this point, go out to my main field. Um, and this is what it looks like in my basement. It's not fancy. It's shop lights on baker's racks. The baker racks are on caster wheels though, so I could roll them around. It's like the library stacks. And there's a sink in the basement, so it's unfinished. If I overwater, it just drains the same place the dehumidifier drains. It's a good setup, but it's certainly um, a little rough and ready. Over here, we've got an example of my spring testing. In order to save on cost, I'm pooling samples into groups of 10, which is something you can do when you have a really low rate of virus incidence. So because these have already been tested, this is their third year. Some of them maybe more. Some of these date, like 20th Avenue Memory was something that I started testing in 2022. Anyways, so that's what a testing report looks like from Agdia. All right, now we get into the data. So in 2023, I was the year of, I call it the Trojan horse, but I had a couple varieties that really pushed me to refine the process of how I was establishing whether stock was clean. Um, the variety circled had tested negative in the spring. So I started taking cuttings of them right away and planting them out in the field. what I later found is that the mother stock in the basement, when I retested that after seeing these positives in the fall, that mother stock was now testing positive. So there seems to be like a minimum threshold required for the DMV test to give a correct positive result. That in my case, these plants were tested at Agdia and showed and I think this one was also tested at Utah State University. And in the spring, both of them had negatives. They tested negative for DMV, but by that fall, I was already getting a positive result on my control group in the basement. And I keep the mother stock in my basement because I can have a much tighter control on insects and humans. um, so, and it's worked out. I've had several cases of false negatives. I saw another one this spring. It was negative last spring. I tested again this spring and it was positive for DMV. So it seems to be a consistent problem, but or a reappearing problem, but it's not. It's rare. It's rare that it maybe on less than 5% of my test, when I'm testing it a second time, am I getting that positive when I thought the plant was negative. But anyways, so now everything gets a full year of testing before it goes out. And it's something that Stonehouse is seeing too. They've also really struggled to find a way around the false negatives with DMV. It's not something that any of us seem to be seeing with the RNA viruses with TSV or TSWV. Let me check my notes. Oh, okay. So first year clean stock is isolated now from the main field. It gets planted over here now. And one other thing to note is even though these plants were positive, there were many plants nearby that were still testing negative. The yellow ones are ones that I called because they were showing symptoms of DMV, so those got pulled out before testing. So yeah, there's plenty of plants that are within 10 feet that weren't infected, but all of the infections were within 10 feet of the original infections. All right. Next up, this past season, I was really happy to not see any DMV in my field, but I did see some TSV. And what I think happened is that the TSV came from the plants that surround my field. So what I had, I'm going to flip between two slides here, but the 2023 field was further south. I had the dahlias planted down here, but oops, sorry. So 2023, they're further south. Whoopee. In 2024, I pushed my dahlias up into the actual pollinator patch, the native perennial area. And in those native perennials are apparently host, many of the species I've planted back there host to TSV. So I did some sampling to confirm my suspicion that the TSV wasn't another false negative situation, because that ELISA testing is really sensitive. And anyways, so I found that some purple coneflowers and black-eyed Susans planted back here were positive for TSV. And that was really sad. So this year I'm going back down to these south beds, but eventually long term, I think I'm gonna flip and put my main field down here. This is mostly like a grassy area that we have on the property. And then first year we'll flip up here and hang out with the vegetables. Might be the 2026 field. Oh yeah, and to point out this note that most of the TSV positive plants were on the perimeter. So that played into my, I think this is an external problem coming in. And the list of TSV hosts is really long, and it includes a lot of really common plants like clover. So in hindsight, I'm almost surprised that in 2023 I didn't pick up any TSV infections. So I'm hoping that if by planting down here again in those south beds where the grass is mowed in the perimeter, that I might, I don't know. God, I'd love to have a TSV and DMV negative field completely, but we'll see. All right, here is a flow chart of the process. I like graphics. So the new stock comes in. If I pot everything up, pre-sprout it. If it's symptomatic, my virus tolerant friend takes it for me. If it still looks clean, I'll test it with the Agdia test strips for TSV. If it tests negative for TSV, then I send it to the lab at Agdia for DMV testing. So if at any point anything looks suspicious or tests positive, it goes away. Or sometimes it gets to move out to the breeding patch of my parents. So at that point, if it's negative for both of those viruses and looks good, I call it first year clean stock. Note that it's not completely clean. The tissue culturing level of cleanliness is a higher threshold than what I'm testing for. I guess I'm just trying to choose a pragmatic in between. All right, so first year I'll take 4 cuttings, 2 stay in the basement, 2 go out to that first year field so I can confirm their ID and make sure that they don't start looking sick. The basement stock gets retested a year later for TSV and DMV. If it's negative, it's second year clean stock, and I'll take many cuttings or a few and send it out to the main field. So basement stock lives here, main field is here. Native wildflowers, which are near and dear, but apparently my bane live there. Why would I keep doing this? The biggest benefit is I've never grown dahlias with such ease after the testing part's over. I plant them and they grow themselves. The tubers wake up faster, they grow faster. I eat lots of cuttings in a short amount of time. I used to foliar feed in my field and spray occasionally, like when the leaf hoppers would get out of control. I no longer, I don't do anything. My soil phosphorus and potassium is really high. My uncle unloaded a whole load of chicken manure on my garden when I was first starting. I'll never need to fertilize with those again. And nitrogen is always on the bubble, and I just choose not to do anything now. The plants, look how dark green they are in the photo. They're happy. And the best part is the insect damage. Yeah, pictures are better than words. Before I started the virus-free field, I had to bag everything in order to have a sellable bloom. And now I only use the bags for collecting seeds. It is phenomenal. And it's 2 seasons now, and I keep waiting for the bugs to show up because I was growing for a decade of this existence with the cucumber beetles covering my blooms. It's been shocking and really wonderful. Yeah, I'll keep testing forever if I can keep growing dahlias like this. It's also getting a lot easier to source clean stock. Obviously 2022 was a rough year. I was left with only 3 varieties at the end of that season that were negative for TSV and DMV. 2023 got a little better. I called only 2/3 of what I had purchased. 2024, last season, it was about an even heat. And so far this season, I've gotten a lot better at figuring out who to buy from. But I've only called a few. I've had 2 plants test positive for tubers for TSV, and I think I only had 3 lab positives for DMV so far. I still have 13 varieties to test, but it's never been a better time to source clean stock. Okay, so what can we do to have cleaner dahlias? Growing from seed, it's still, there's not like a scientific publication that has confirmed that growing from seed um, gives you clean stock. But there's a fair amount of anecdotal evidence. Even this spring, I had a seed parent that I collected from last fall that I knew was DMV positive. I tested 10 of the seedlings that sprouted this spring, and all of them were negative. Several other growers have had similar experiences. Ron has as well. Isolate clean stock. As little as 10 feet of separation minimizes that transmission. The further you can separate general stock from known clean stock or seedlings, the less transmission you'll see, in theory. You can source clean stock. Well, I have the whole slide that comes next will show you all of the places I've been buying from and had good luck with. But know that unless a seller is guaranteeing or specifically telling you what they've tested the stock for, do not blame them for infected stock. It's so, obviously it's common. 87% of our choicest stock sent to Washington State tested positive for at least one virus. Unless you're testing, you're very likely to encounter virus stock. Sanitize to minimize transmission, and be aware of TSV host plants. A lot of dicots, a lot of aster family, a lot of bedding plants we all grow are on that list, but grasses are not. So that is why I am seeking out areas to grow my dahlias that are surrounded by mowed lawn. Ooh, if we want a deep dive here, I know I'm going long, but and I
You're
forgot.
fine. Keep going.
Keep going. All right. Okay. So if you want to test, and I encourage you to, but grow seeds if funds are tight. You can, and this tip was given by Melody Rolk. She's in Maryland, but she taught me that if you take an immunostrip and you cut it in half lengthwise, and I meant to put a picture right there of what that looks like, you can get 2 tests from 1 strip. And you'll either have to buy more buffer pouches to go with the additional strips, or you can mix your own buffer solution. And once you have established a cleaner population of stock, like seedlings, for example, or something that's coming from a vendor who is testing, you can start pulling samples together when you're testing and really save a lot of money that way. Over here on the right, it's a close-up, right, of the same results I showed earlier. So I'm testing 10 plants in one go. So I think the setup cost is $76 right now at Agdia for DMV. And then each additional test is $36, $34. So for these 3 pools, I'm paying $140-ish. But I'm also testing 30 plants. So once you have that clean stock, you can have a lot of plants that you can retest if you want, or not. But anyways, once you deep dive into this, there are cost saving strategies. And if you ever want to ask me questions specifically about testing, I'm happy to talk to you about it. Oh, hey, that's the end.
All right. Let me see. If you have questions, feel free to either unmute yourself or if you want to drop it in the chat, I can check the chat as well. I have a question about how many varieties do you have?
I want to say, so I'm growing 55 varieties this year, but I think I have 88 varieties that I've found that are clean. Some of them are just too short, or they're Bacardi blows its center. Like there's certain ones that I mean, yeah, they're clean, but they're not my favorite. I'm not growing them. So they're pot tubers.
Do you grow them for cut flowers?
Yes, although I'm getting more into show.
Okay. Yeah. Other questions that you guys have?
I have a question, please.
Sure, Robert.
Hi, everybody. It's Robert in Long Island, New York. Hi, Janelle.
Hi.
We finally meet. She's been a great supporter for the Mid-Island Dahlia Society for 3 or 4 years now. So we know each other by a phone call or a email, but she's doing a great job, and we're always happy to receive her tubers. Mike, do you happen to, would you be able to list or tell us the vendors that you
Oh,
have
shoot.
gotten clean stock from? Or
Yeah, I'm
the
very
ones that you
sorry.
prefer?
Yeah, I thought that was in the presentation. Let me go back and see.
Maybe I missed it.
No, it was supposed to be.
You mentioned it, but I never saw the slide.
Yeah, you're right. What did I do with it? I think I accidentally deleted it, but I will find it. Let me stop sharing, and if nothing else, it's in another spreadsheet. Oh, my kids are stalking me. Mhm.
There's one now.
What's up, love?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Okay. Oh, it's two bags of what? I don't know what that is.
Like some stuff.
Oh, okay. Not right now.
I know I have to get in.
Let's go.
Hi.
Okay, I
Hello, bye.
slide. Now let me. Now I just need to find my window back. I don't know what they're asking for. Here we go. Share. Oh, it does not like this browser. Sorry, I'm using an old computer because it has a microphone. How?
There it goes.
Ooh, it's working. All right, here we go. This is what you'd ask for, Robert.
Yes.
Okay, so for everyone that's on this list, there's at least 2 or 3 folks that aren't, and there's no shame to them, but I don't want to air anyone's bad laundry. So these folks on here, they're all exceptional. They're doing a fantastic job. So on the left, I've got clean stock by the breeder, and then over on the right, clean stock by vendor. And so there is some overlap, but I wanted to tease them out because I think both vendors and breeders play a role in bringing us clean stock. So Rivers is one that I've Rivers, obviously the KAs, things going through Stonehouse are coming out clean, which has been wonderful. Haley Sly at River Merle. This is my first year purchase or trading with her. And she sent me 9 tubers, and all 9 of them, well, no. She sent me River Merle 6 tubers. The other 3 varieties came from Stonehouse, but everything tested clean, which is wild because she is growing in an open field like me, and she is doing an exquisite job. Right when I see in Lee Hemmings of Goldenrod Gardens, I've purchased 4 tubers from her. All 4 have been clean. Leanne Huber is doing a remarkable job as well. Everything I bought from her has been clean. Triple Wren is sending clean Bloomquist dahlias, so that's really nice. Rich Gibson, he is doing a really good job of keeping his stock clean before it's getting introduced. So, oh, and Clearview dahlias, man, I love them. And there's one I've received that hasn't been clean, which broke my heart. But it's been, God. Anyways, these folks are doing a wonderful job. Support them, please.
Chris posted in the chat, he was curious as to does alcohol sterilize tools?
ADS listed is a sanitizer. Bleach has the most scientific studies support bleach as a sanitizer, and maybe alcohol is. But I'm going to go with the peer-reviewed research. I'm going to keep using bleach until I see enough publications saying that alcohol is good enough.
Yeah, Ron kind of has that same mindset. So he's a big fan of bleach and then on to the soapy water. Yeah. I have a question since you just showed Leanne. I know Leanne has, we're friends. I know she's purchased her own testing. You've spent so much money. Is that something that you've thought about?
I thought about it, but I love the ability to outsource a part of this. It's so labor intensive in the spring, even just to prepare the samples and bags to send them off while I'm also taking cuttings and shipping tuber orders. I can't do one more thing. I work full time, obviously.
Yeah.
Don't leave me alone.
Oh, that's okay.
Um,
Go ahead, Robert.
Following, I think Janell's lead, we purchased the bleach wipes. They're like the wipes they use for baby wipes.
Mhm.
And instead of we tried the 2 different jars with bleach and soap, and the wipes with the bleach way easier to use and more receptive for people to use. They just pull one out of the package, wipe down, throw it out. So it's not the disinfectant ones. It's strictly ones that have bleach. Or you see them online. They're inexpensive. You can find them in the stores anymore. And it's just convenient and inexpensive. And to try to get people to practice these techniques, it's a little easier for them to get a handle on.
Janelle, do you know, I feel like I've asked about the wipes and I was told that they needed to sit longer in the bleach than just wiping. Have you heard that?
I haven't, no.
I haven't, and I don't know. I do the caddy with the cutters that I rotate through.
Yeah, I do the same.
Um,
Robert, that might be a good thing to double check with Ron Miner on. I feel like maybe I heard that from Ron, but I'm not sure. If it is, I would do that. That would be much easier.
right. All of my clothes with those really
bleach
Yeah.
stains.
cold spots.
Exactly. That's what I have to deal with. You're using bleach, wash your clothes, the wipes are way easier and people are willing to use them a lot more.
Yeah.
So you talked about the ones that don't make it to your garden, you give it to a friend. And I
Mhm.
know not everybody on the call has the bandwidth to or the knowledge to just like figure out what has virus, what doesn't. So can you kind of talk about like what that process looks like and what they're okay with in their garden?
Yeah. So there are several friends that take we'll call them hand-me-downs. um, and and each of them handles them differently. There's one of the growers, she will plant, because I also give clean hand-me-downs too. Once I realize I don't want to plant any more of this, but I already have, 15 cuttings of it, they'll take those. And so they do isolation, right? So they're putting the clean stock up maybe by the house, and then the stuff that's tested positive is just getting mixed in the general field because the general field is mostly infected. Um, and that's okay. Like what I'm doing is exhausting. But I guess I'm trying to run this citizen science so that we can use the useful bits because not all of us can afford testing. Can afford the heartache of throwing away all the varieties you love. Um, right, there's a lot of cons to what I'm doing. There's some pros, but yeah. So they use isolation on their farms. Sometimes it's all mixed together.
Yeah,
Whatever makes them happy.
I had a moment my first year where one of the members came over and like looked at my garden and was basically like, good luck, everything you have is virus. And so like it is heartbreaking to think about it, but I think it's also that's kind of where you can make a choice for yourself as to like what you want your garden to be this season. And if eventually you want to kind of to aspire to do what Janelle and Ron are doing, that I think would be a great outcome to kind of work towards over the years versus this your first year just throwing everything away and being discouraged. So
Yeah. I think had I known more about isolation distances when I started, I would have kept so many that I'd be breeding with now. But I don't think we were running that research yet, or and if we did, no one was sharing it. So now, even in my failures, I can see the isolation distance pop up on DMV, right? Like nothing with outside of that 10 feet was infected. And Ron had the article in the latest bulletin. His distance was a little further, but isolation distances seem to be effective. So you don't have to burn everything.
yeah. So Alan asked, he has a big cucumber beetle problem. What do you think it is about clean stock that helps with this?
I personally don't know. But the more I mention it to people, they say there's something in the science that they're signaling in plants that are stressed that attract insects. I don't know, maybe it's in the pheromones. I don't know. I don't know why. It's been so amazing. And I didn't see it coming. And so I'm like, oh, this is the best thing. So every year I'm just like, oh God, they're gonna come next week. They're gonna show up. Because every other year I'm surrounded by corn. So if it's not cucumber beetles, then it was the corn rootworm beetles that would just devour my plants. And so I've made it through, it's a sorghum sedan grass and silage corn rotation that I'm farming next to. So I've made it through the rotation and I'm still seeing the same lack of bugs.
Any other questions that you guys have?
I have another question, it's slightly off topic, but it'll help me out. On one of the slides you showed your a row of your dahlias, and you said how good they looked. It was towards the end.
Do you want me to go to
Um,
that slide?
Would you mind?
No, if I can find it. Um, this one?
Yes, yes. I said it was kind of off topic, but my question is, I see it, you have it mulched with straw or hay?
Yeah, it's wheat straw.
All right, wheat straw it's called?
Well, it's straw, but straw can also come from rye or other cereal grains, but
All
it's
right,
straw
all
from
right.
wheat.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get specific wheat straw here, but I know we can get straw. So my
Yeah.
question is, as I look with the two gardens I'm in charge of, how do you find using that straw mulch for weeds and moisture? And you like it, or are you just trying it out, or you use it every year and you like it?
I mulch every year with an organic mulch, whether sometimes I'll no-till and use the cover crop for mulch. But yeah, I hate, I mean, I love pulling weeds, but I hate seeing weeds in my garden. So I always mulch. The straw is
Okay.
good. This year I mostly have cereal rye, the cover crop that I terminated and just laid it over on the beds. But it's great for weed suppression, for moisture consistency.
Okay,
It
and
is a pain though if you want to till your beds. You have to, if it doesn't decompose, and if you mulch thickly, um, it will wrap itself around the tines of your tiller. It also will hold in the moisture in the spring. So uh, nothing I do is like the easy way, but I love
well,
it. But it's more work in the long run. Well,
right.
maybe I
Well, that
don't
kind
know.
of is a segue to my question. Do you, at the end of the season, do you pull it off and then compost it, or you leave it and flip it over?
Um, if I'm digging the tubers, usually I'll stuff the mulch down. Like I'll dig the clump, pull the clump up, shove the straw under, and then flop the dirt over it, just to try
Okay,
to get it to break down. Because I want I'm going to come back and sprinkle a cover crop over it, and I want that cover crop to make soil contact, the seed. So I can't have all that mulch separating my
right.
seed from the soil. But on my seedling beds, I'm not digging very many tubers out of that row, so I'm raking the mulch off of those beds.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna probably give it a try and see how it works.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Grass clippings? Can you get a lot
No,
of
I'm
grass
gonna
clippings?
try the straw.
Okay. If it's easier to get grass clippings, they'll do the same thing.
Yeah, I think I'll stick with the straw. I don't, the clippings I know with, they work, but
Herbicide.
it's smelly a little bit here and I don't need more complaints.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Paula put something in the chat. She says in food service certification, uh, to volunteer in school or church kitchen there, they're trained that the final step of hand washing dishes is that the dishes must be dry for the bleach rinse to be fully effective. Are you allowing your tips to try between cuts, or do you feel like this is not necessary?
Ooh, I do not let my clippers dry between cuts. Um, they might have a residence time of probably not more than 3 minutes in bleach, and then they're making another cut, depending on how fast I am. But a minimum of 3 minutes, but not more than 10.
It sounds like we have a similar process with like a caddy with both and multiple scissors. How many snips do you have that you rotate through?
It depends how much I'm gonna cut, but at a minimum, 3 come out with me.
Okay, I have like 10.
Is
I'm
that
that late.
diluted? Is that bleach diluted or straight?
It's 10%. So
10%?
it's 10% bleach, 90% water.
Thank you.
And depending on the types of snips you have, if you can find the ones that have like a Teflon coating, those don't rust.
Okay.
So like there's the flarts that Christine also uses. She has a video on her Instagram for them, but
Okay.
but those will not rust in your bleach where like my Felcos or the red and white scissors that a lot of the members use. I forget the name of those will rust on you. So
They do. I keep using them when they're rusty until they stop closing
closing, yeah.
or don't open. I don't know. Most of the time, so I let them dry.
Any other questions that you guys have?
No.
Well, we thank you. I really appreciate you
Yeah.
speaking with us tonight. I think the warm weather has kicked in. So I have a feeling some of our members are out and about. But we'll record this and I'll send the recording out. And I just think this was helpful for me to see as I start to plan my beds and where I want to put my seedlings this year. I think keeping them completely separate is a great idea. So
Yeah, I know that's what Haley's doing at River Merle.
Yeah.
And it's something that Leanne does. But now Leanne, I think everything she's growing is clean, which is,
it's incredible.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So just to have that much clean stock available, like now's the time that it's a time that growers have never had this opportunity before. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask that everybody stay on the call for me. As Janelle wraps up, we're going to approve our bylaws, and we need every single one of you to vote today to pass these. So your presence is appreciated. Sharon, would you be willing to share your screen?
Thanks, Janelle.
Thank you, Janelle.
Yes, it was great.
Appreciate it.
you. I hope you got something from it.
We did. I did at least.
Okay, so hopefully you all saw this in the digest and had a chance to look this over. I'm not going to go into detail because there's a lot there. So I do want to thank both Sharon and Jerry for taking the time to really get this going and move it forward. They started it last year, and then Pat and Kat, Jerry and Sharon finished it this year. So it was a process. Jerry and Sharon, do you have any comments or remarks you want to make about it? You're glad it's done.
Yes, that's for sure. Last year maybe was the time that we started again, but it's been around for a long time.
We've been at it really for more like 5 years.
Yeah, more like 5 years. No, nothing is perfect, but it's I think it's a good set of bylaws to follow. Certainly better than what we had previously.
Yeah. And so this is really my first one where I'm going to motion that we put the new bylaws into effect. Can I get somebody to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay. So if you are good with the bylaws, if you could raise your hand or say yay, that would be appreciated.
Yay.
Yes,
Sharon
Yay.
Yay.
and Sharon, did Rob vote?
Yay.
He says yes because he doesn't want to see me doing this anymore.
And were there any nays? I think everybody said yay, but just to check, any nays? No?
Or any abstains.
Okay, so we're gonna move forward and put these new bylaws into effect. Thank you, everybody who voted. I also submitted the expense procedure going forward, and I just need the executive board to vote on that. And we have just a few of you, Jerry, Mike, Sharon, and Nancy, you as well. So were you guys okay to pass that? And if so, could somebody second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, so for the executive board, was everybody a yay on that as well?
Yay.
Okay, great. We will put that into effect as well. So thank you, everybody who came tonight to vote. I appreciate it. Mike, do you want to talk about the plant sale this weekend?
Be happy to. Pickup for the sale is at Willoway. And I got the address for people who haven't been there before. It's 4740 Avon Belden Road. And there'll be signs out there regarding the where the sale is. We've got everything all straightened away, hopefully. So we're just looking forward to having people stop out, get their stuff. And in fact, there's probably going to be some extra stuff if people would be interested. So in fact, too, just as a little point of interest, we've got some interesting pot roots that we salvaged from Tom Demeline, used to take some of the cuttings this year. And he does not want those back, and we are just going to have them out there. And if anybody would be interested, they're in bags too, so you don't have to do too much. So there'll be some things out there. It went well. We had certainly a lot of cooperation from the folks at Willoway, and just looking forward to having a successful day Sunday. Get the plants out of there so I can start getting on my stuff.
Mike, what are the times?
1 to 3, 1 to 3, Bob.
And
So,
we'll have cash, check, or PayPal. And then in addition, those who weren't on at the beginning, we will have Dwight's tubers that if you're interested in taking a tuber in memory of Dwight, please help yourself. It's what his family was really hoping for.
yeah, we've got those all segmented, so if anybody so desires, they will be there. So, okay. I do want to thank the folks that did come out and help. Bob Leonelli, Rob Swaney, Chris Bryant, Bob Matusik. So good bunch of guys that were willing to donate some time. So it really helped a lot this year. So hopefully we'll do okay. We'll get them off, get the right plants to everybody. So, one thing, Jess, I did want to mention.
Yeah.
We had talked about maybe something for Mr. Demeline I was able to talk to his mother who was out there, and she said that they like to go out periodically when he's got time. And she gave me he gave me a couple places that they like to patronize. So I was looking at the menus of them, and I thought maybe that might be a good way to go to say thanks to them. It's a local restaurant. They've been there, they enjoy it. So we can talk about maybe Sunday, what we can do for that.
Sure. And according to our new expense procedure. I'll approve something within the budget that I'm able to approve. And I think that's a perfect thank you for him.
I think it'll be a real big surprise. I mean, he has been more than grateful to have us out there, which sometimes I wonder, but he's really, really a good guy to let us do this for all these years. And in the past, not charged us for him, so.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, Lori wants to know how many plants sold for this sale.
Boy, that's a good question. I think Sharon might know
Sharon?
better than I.
We're going to put you right on the spot, Sharon.
You're muted.
Talk about something else and I'll go look.
Okay. Jerry or Pat, do you guys want to give us an update on the trailer?
Thanks to Pat and Bill Sadataki for loaning the society their 6-foot by 12-foot trailer. Last year we stored everything under Bob Matusek's patio or deck, and was a couple weeks ago. We went out and loaded everything into the trailer. It all fit, though it's I think we're going to have to do some rearranging sometime this summer. But it's stored at
Countryside Florist.
Countryside Florist. Thank you very much. They're in Richfield, and thanks to Bob Wenning and Bob Matusek, Pat and Bill, Chris and Quinn Bryant. Good job. So it's good since we were no longer able to use Carol's barn, that everything is in one place. Well, except for the things that I have here at home for each show. But all of our inventory now is in one place and safe and dry. So thanks, Pat and Bill.
Yes. Thanks, Pat. Okay, Sharon, did we buy you enough time?
No, just give me a few more minutes. I got the order up or the report up. I just got to total them.
Okay, while we wait for Sharon, does anybody have any other topics or that you want to bring up?
I have one quick question. I should have asked Janelle, but maybe through Ron, do you happen to know if we're gonna have the virus program back next year? You know, with the testing, I know it's been on hiatus for like 2 years now. Did you have any inside scoop on maybe next year?
I don't. Jerry, do you know?
No, I don't. I haven't been in contact with Ron, actually. He came back from Florida, but then he's still out and around. I think he's up in Michigan right now.
Yeah.
All right, just curious. Yeah, we kind of lost the momentum with these 2 or 3 years it stopped. But that's fine.
Is everybody getting a lot of virus as their plants come, growing? I'm throwing, a certain percentage away just because they've got curly yellowed leaves, and whether I got them from somebody else or they were my own, I'm just have to throw them out. Is everybody else throwing a fair amount out or no?
Only had 3 this year so far, and I've started all of mine inside, so I could at least see them before I planted them out. But doesn't mean that they're not virus. Just means I can't see it. Anybody else?
Just a point of information, even out at Willoway, we have pulled some plants out that we thought might be, and that's with them getting sprayed and closed and everything else. So,
I mean, at least if you know up ahead of time, you can throw them out and
right.
no guilt, you just move on. I mean, I've stopped crying about throwing out my KA Khaleesi's, because they're virused. I mean, you just have to do it. They're ugly and there's nothing you can do but throw them out.
Okay, 269 plants were sold on orders, and I've got another couple $100 here that Chris sold out of the greenhouse. So I don't know how many plants that represents, but it's $200.
I think, Sharon, I think he sold 100 out of the greenhouse. Chris did, I think.
100 plants or $100 worth.
Should have been that many.
No, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's
Yeah.
it's the
It was
money.
somebody
Yeah.
having a wedding, and so they bought a whole bunch,
Right.
just whatever we had left. So that's great.
Yeah.
Did Chris write them a receipt?
I don't know.
Or did they pay by check, hopefully?
No, they paid by cash.
Cash.
Okay, Misty's gonna kill us, guys. If we're paying by
Well,
cash in
I
the
think it's
future.
somebody he knows, so he can write them a receipt.
Yeah, we just need to give them a receipt for the purchase for.
Yeah. We'll just tell him he needs to write a receipt and email it to him and to you, or to Misty.
Or tell Misty, and Misty will send them a receipt.
Oh,
So
okay.
he just needs to let Misty know.
Yeah, I don't think it was a stranger. I think it was somebody he at least knew by name, so.
Okay. Great. Any other Q&A that anybody has? Or maybe there's still some light. I see light behind Tammy. Oh, so I mentioned having someone come visit my garden when I was starting. Is that part of the mentor program, or was that just a friendly visit? It was actually my mentor at the time, Tony. Tony was Tammy and my mentor a few years back. So he actually came out and he brought his microscope, because I thought I had spider mites, and scraped off my leaves and put it under a microscope, and it had to be like 100 degrees that day, and we were all just like sweating. So it was Tony. And as for the mentor program, I'm so glad you brought that up, because we will be starting to pair and match mentors. I see a lot of mentors on the call. My hope is that you're willing to continue to be a mentor this year. If not, send me an email. Otherwise, I'm writing your name down like you said yes. And I wouldn't say that every mentor would be an expert at identifying virus. But if you take photos, and you can email me photos, I can make sure those get into Ron Miner's hands, and he can help you identify it. If you're lucky enough to have Ron as a mentor, he probably could give you an eagle eye and tell you. I think Pat, you've heard, is pretty familiar with it. Jerry, so a number of us are. And Sharon's holding up some photos. Sharon, what is that? You're muted.
This is something that I think Jim Chewy might have put together a while ago of some good, was one of the earlier documents of good pictures of viruses. And I'm pretty sure these pictures are out on the ADS website somewhere.
Yeah, and Paula, to answer your question, the plants that she's asking, how did Tony know that what I was growing was virused? And like Janell had, or those photos there are some that are very easy to see. So if there's vein clearing, which means the veins are kind of yellow, and sometimes there's like a margin that is discolored, that's a really easy symptom that you can catch and pull. If the veins are green and the leaf is yellow, that's a sign of chlorosis. So it's like the reverse. Tomato spot is a clear one. like you have like the rings on it.
Yeah, I've looked at the pictures and read all that. I just thought, my gosh, a whole garden? Like, yeah, I was wondering what he's seen. I mean, because yeah, I pull like I don't I would say I'm a sanitary gardener. I have like 24 snips when I go to my garden, but I just pull if something doesn't look right, I pull it because I assume if the plants next to it look good and it doesn't, then there's something wrong with it. And then I also look for like the yellow veins and all that other stuff. But I mean, if the plant doesn't look good and the neighbors look good, then I assume even if it doesn't have those telltale signs, I still pull it because the neighbors wouldn't look good. But yeah, I was wondering if there was something I just can't imagine somebody like walking into a garden and the whole thing being virused. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think that year it might have been my second Tammy, right? Maybe it was our second. And I had just purchased tubers from whoever on the internet. So I don't know. I've had, like I said, spider mite problems at that time, thribs. So I didn't know what I was doing either. So it's very easy for those pests to like run down the line and infect each other. And I don't have a huge space. I plant mine 12 inches apart on center. So it is not a lot of room between them in a 64-foot row. So I don't have thousands. I just have, I have more now, but then I was probably at 100. So I think to Janelle's point, that's like you really do have to stay on top of your pest problems and sanitize. Like the two go hand in hand in preventing that virus transmission.
And I'd like to mention there's a good PowerPoint from North Carolina University, some school in North Carolina. And it is on, you can find it on the ADS website under Dahlia University. And that gives you pictures of if it's more of a nutrition thing. So it just gives you something to look at, to kind of look at both sides. Well, could it be nutrition? Could it be virus? And that might be helpful.
So, Jess, you were saying that a lot of the plants, well, when your garden was inspected and a lot of virus symptoms were evident, you said you were having pest problems. When plants are stressed, those symptoms come more to the forefront. So like you can find symptoms a lot easier right now as plants are emerging and it's a little cooler. It'll look like it might just be on that first set or two sets of leaves and then it goes away because the air will warm up, the ground will warm up, the plant will be growing faster, and the growth will outpace the virus replication. But for a mid-season field to look that virused, your plants were clearly stressed, Jess.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah.
So the grower that I give my hand-me-downs to, I will also go over to, she buys all kinds of stock. And I'll go through her field and see what's worth testing. So maybe she'll have like 500 varieties and a lot of them will show symptoms. It might just be on like one branch of the plant. I'll be like, ooh, yeah, not testing that one. And we'll go down the line and usually I'll have maybe 10 and I'll test for TSV there. And maybe out of that, there'll be 6 that I'll send to the lab for testing. And I've gotten a few from her that are clean in spite of growing next to things that I would not touch with a 10-foot pole. So it's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think now, Paula, like, I love that Janelle showed that list of, companies and breeders. I would say almost 90% of my garden at this point is on that list.
Yay.
So it helps when you're familiar with who's doing the best they can to prevent virus. And that's really who I buy from outside of like the club. So Alina asked, is there any data about specific forms or types that are more virus resistant?
Virus resistance. That no, virus resistance is hard. So virus resistance means that the dahlia doesn't get infected. Virus tolerance means that it's infected but asymptomatic. And so to try to find an oldie but goodie that is clean is really hard. Melody Rolk of Winston Farms in Maryland, she spends a lot more money than I do on testing. She'll buy everything and test it all. And has a much higher positivity rate than what I see. I would love to, I don't know what her stats are, but I'm just like, oh, how are you footing that bill, Melody? The only way that I have found older stock, like older introductions that are testing clean, is usually to find them from an importer. Because importers are supposed to only be bringing in clean stock. And sometimes they've cleaned it and it's still clean. And I've been able to luck out there, but you can see on my list, there are no importers, but I've gotten a handful from Brex bulbs. I might get like 1 out of 5 that I order from them that will be clean. And it's like I don't remember. Oh, I had a Holly Hill Black Beauty that was clean for a year, and then it was my false negative this spring. But I was so excited of like, oh, I'm finally gonna get this dahlia I love, and then I didn't. So, anyways, virus tolerance is hard. I'm mostly just buying new introductions and testing those at this point because the oldie but goodies are all infected. Even if they are still looking pretty good, they at least have DMV and they probably have TSV as well. But there are people that's another, I had a whole list of folks who are cleaning stock. And so here in the Midwest, Becky Curtis of Carpe Dahlias, she's cleaning stock. I think last year she had a handful. This year she cleaned a handful as well. And obviously Triple Wren is cleaning up stock. Stonehouse Dahlias. There's Kat of Southmore Gardens. David of Oak Ridge. I think Oak Ridge Farm in North Carolina. There's a whole bunch of growers doing citizen science and giving us the oldie but goodies, but clean this time.
We didn't talk about that earlier, but can you touch on what cleaning stock is? I know you got your little ones though, so I don't want to keep you too much.
They're having the time of their lives.
Okay.
My husband was recruited to run silage wagons for the neighbors, but now we're on a tornado watch and it's raining to beat the band out there. So
geez.
come home soon. Anyways, so meristem tissue culture is how certain labs and citizen scientists are cleaning stock of virus by taking a microscopic growth tip from the dahlia at so there's like the leaf node and that little lateral that's going to come out and grow. If you catch that before it comes out, that very tip is Sorry about the graphics. That very tip is the meristem. So under a microscope, these scientists, I'm gonna lump them all, are carving out that little bit and then growing it in medium. And sometimes they die. And the smaller you cut, the more likely you are to get something that's virus free, but the more likely it is to die. So they're like trying to find that happy medium of getting it right. And then there's a bunch of steps. If it starts growing and then they put it in like a rooting hormone and then they put it in a grow. I don't know this part. I have no appetite for that, but I'm grateful that there are folks who do. And so what Becky is seeing, she's up in the same club as as Ron's son, Jeff Miner's club. What Becky is seeing is that the DMV is easier to eliminate in meristem culture, but the TSV is a little more persistent. So she had one that, I think it was Man or Jane, that was rid of DMV through tissue culture or meristem tissue culture, but it still had TSV. But really exciting things. I think it's really exciting. So anyway, now is the best time to try to have clean stock.
Agreed. It's so much more accessible than it was even 2 years ago.
Yes. It's
Yeah, there are some exciting things coming out of Washington also that hopefully this year and next will be very positive, but a little too early to really determine.
Oh, Jerry's taunting us.
Yes.
Anybody have anything else for tonight? I'm a little worried about that tornado watch down there.
I came on late. Did we do the bylaws?
We did. They were accepted, Pat. Thank you. Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Jess, this is Beth Pennington. I'm on my husband's computer, so the name doesn't match.
That's okay.
But I just wanted to thank everybody that was at the tuber sale, all the not new members that were very welcoming to those of us who were new. Well, I wasn't not a new member, but I was a new volunteer. And you all just made it very comfortable for us and answered our probably dumb questions. And I just want to thank the people that could have made that uncomfortable, but didn't. So it was nice to volunteer with you guys.
Oh, we loved having you, Beth.
I'll be back next year. I loved it.
All right. Everybody heard that, right? I'm writing it down. Beth, volunteer next year. All right, guys.
Hey, Jess,
yeah.
Can we hear from Nancy as to what the current membership is? Or did you do that?
I didn't. She's not prepared though, Jerry. You're springing this on her. Okay.
There she goes. She's got it.
You're muted, Nancy.
Oh, I had it ready. We are up to 311 members. And 113 of those are brand new members.
Great. How many ADS do you know?
Do not know that. I have to get another report from Elva.
And I don't have final tuber and plant sale numbers because I feel like this was Jerry's next question. But I do know that this was our best year yet. I think for the tuber sale, we were over $10,000. And the plant sale, I think we're in between 2,000 to 3,000, but I'll have those final numbers for you guys at the next meeting.
Very nice.
At the next meeting, we'll also talk about the donations that we put off that I think we wanted to do for the ADS again. So at the next meeting, we'll talk about those and get a vote to make sure we can take the money that we got from the sales and give back to others, which I think is pretty cool.
If I can ask Jerry, since you brought up membership, what is your reflection after 14 years as president. How has our membership changed? Are we growing? What is your recollection?
Well, we certainly have grown since it just came on board with social media. I mean, we were around 60 or 70 members 3-4 years ago. It's not a concern, but I would hope that many of the new members are definitely cut people, and I would like to have them also show, which is one of the main things for ADS societies to do. But that's very exciting. Thank you, Jess.
And thank you for your support and allowing me to test those Facebook ads. And I think
And
that's
this is a good time to advertise next month's meeting, which is going to be about how to show.
yes. So if you are interested in showing,
Or just want to see what it's about.
yeah, come. I honestly was very nervous the first time, and Jerry took me under his wing and helped stage my dahlias for me, and I won, and I got a huge ribbon, and it's the best time ever. So,
well, we do have several members who have been around for a while who are more than willing to help new people show. So don't be bashful. Even if you just bring 1 or 2 blooms, and we start off at Cuyahoga Fair, which is a good place to begin. So think about it.
yeah.
Rob took 1 2-inch flower to a show last year and got us on the court. So 1 flower can pay off.
Well, that's for sure, because in 2003 at the national show we held here, I brought 2 blooms, and 1 was reserve champion. So, and it was almost lying on the ground when I picked it, because I had so much else to do to run the show. But one will do.
Yep. Once you get that 1 win, it's hard to not want to keep winning. All right. Anything else for tonight? Paula has a question about showing. I'm not sure of the language, but there are 2 types of dahlia shows on the ADS website. Maybe ADS and the other. Paula, can you?
Yeah,
I'm not sure I
can.
understand.
Yeah, and I don't have the language because I didn't really think I was going to ask this question, but since Jerry said bring people into showing, and he said the Chattanooga, so there was, I believe it says like an ADS affiliated, or like there's an ADS affiliated or an ADS, I don't know, maybe I could look it up and ask Jerry later.
Participating is the other one.
What's that?
It's affiliated and participating. It's
okay. What is the difference of that? What does that mean?
Okay, if you have a society and your society has at least 10 ADS members in the membership, so like DSO has way more than that, that entitles you to be a participating society. If you're a real small society, or maybe even a garden club that isn't specific to dahlias, you may pay a fee and become what we call an affiliated club or society. And you pay a small fee. And so that's the distinction. And other than that, there used to be a distinction, and still is, that the club, an affiliate cannot take memberships for ADS and pass them on the way we used to, but a participating society can. But a lot of participating societies aren't doing that anymore. So, but the difference is how many ADS members you have in your local membership. And it only has to be 10.
Right. So I know that because I'm the ADS rep for a Michigan society. So I do know that, but what does that have to do with the showing?
I
'Cause it
also
was
don't
something.
know, but I know that all 4 of our shows are sanctioned by ADS, so um,
Okay. I was
your
just reading it one day and
your
I was just
blues
wondering what the
will
difference
get in the
was.
book.
I'll find it and then maybe
Yeah.
I'll send it to you, Jerry, and see if we can figure it out.
Oh, okay.
Jerry's like, don't send it to me.
Oh,
No, you
okay.
send it
Nope,
to
that's
me.
fine.
You
That's
may as well
fine.
send it to me because then I'll send it to Ron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So I'll
Ron's
just
a
save
good
it when
person.
I see you guys somewhere. Okay, thank
There
you.
is it's on the ADS website somewhere, the definition. I don't remember it saying anything about shows, but I could find the definition for you on the ADS website because we just had a question recently and I know it's out there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Anything else, guys? No. All right. Well, stay safe with all that rain you guys are getting back home. And I will see some of you on Sunday. So have a good rest of your night.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Safe travels.
Thanks.